with shock and sadness. I mean, it's been a very emotional morning here in Goring-on-Thames. A lot of the people I've spoken to said that he lived a very private life with none of the trappings of celebrity that you might expect from someone of his success. Remember, he sold 100 million records worldwide, 7 UK number ones as a solo artist, 4 more as part of the band Wham in the 80s. A career that spanned up to 4 decades in the music industry, which is incredibly rare. Now, the past couple of years, he's been away from the spotlight. He hasn't toured since 2011, when he toured as part of the Symphonica tour with a full orchestra. Now, I actually went and saw that tour. It was at the Royal Albert Hall, and what really struck me, apart from his amazing abilities as a live performer, was the breadth in terms of the audience who was there, young and old, filling up the Royal Albert Hall. And that's really rare for an artist to be able to attract such broad appeal. Now, shortly after that performance, he was diagnosed with pneumonia and hospitalised for a month. He said afterwards that it was touch and go whether he would have survived that period. He did, of course, survive, but he really stepped away from the limelight afterwards. The last time we saw him perform on a big stage was the 2012 London Olympics closing ceremony. However, that was all set to change next year, 2017. He was going to release a documentary in March, and we heard just last month that he was planning to record new music with producer Naughty Boy, who's worked with big artists like Beyonce. A lot of people here today very emotional. Lots of people haven't been even able to come in front of the camera because they've just been in floods of tears. I spoke to a lady earlier who doesn't even live in Goring. She lives about 45 minutes away, but she had driven here because she really wanted to leave a card and some flowers just to say how much of an impact George Michael had on her life. It's been very upsetting, and I spoke to the church warden. His house backs onto the church, and they said that just last Christmas, he'd arrived at midnight mass, and they were expecting him to again attend this year. Unfortunately, he obviously couldn't make it. His house is completely decorated with Christmas decorations. Clearly they were gearing up for a family Christmas, and this news has come as a shock that he has died at the age of just 53.
Okay, Sarah, thank you. Well, Willem, you're in North London, in Highgate. Are many people turning up there to pay tribute to him?
Yeah, there's a steady trickle of well-wishers turning up here, mourners, often in dribs and drabs over the last hour or so, laying flowers, leaving messages for George Michael. Obviously born and raised not far from here, he made North London his home throughout much of his life, and I imagine talking to some of the people here, they are feeling that as a neighbour they should be paying tribute to him. A lot of these are locals. You can see behind me here coming through to the house, and this is very much his home, George Michael, here in North London. Many other reasons to remember him besides his music, of course. He's been a very active LGBT campaigner over the last few years. He's also been very involved, according to Esther Rantzen, in Childline, donating a huge amount of money to them in secret. That's obviously a huge part of his attraction to many people, finding out this information over the course of the last few hours, that he was a very generous and secret philanthropist.
Okay, Willem, we can see people turning up there, and no doubt will be throughout the course of the day. Thank you. Well, tributes have been pouring in for George Michael from across the entertainment world. The singer's Wham bandmate, Andrew Ridgeley, said, "Heartbroken at the loss of my beloved friend Yog. Me, his loved ones, his friends, the world of music, the world at large, forever loved." Brian May tweeted, George Michael, no, it cannot be. Beyond sad." Actor Rob Lowe worked with the singer in the 80s. He said, "Had the pleasure of knowing George Michael in the 80s, voice of an angel. Now he can sing for them." Ricky Gervais, who worked on an episode of Extras with him, paid tribute. "Unbelievable. R.I.P. George Michael." And James Corden, who had George Michael as the first ever guest on Carpool Karaoke, said, "I've loved George Michael for as long as I can remember. He was an absolute inspiration, always ahead of his time."